What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So I'm leaning on my little flimsy table right now, and the camera's going to shake a little bit, but that's okay because I just want to lean up and sort of be relaxed in this quick video. My wife's out playing bunco with the ladies at the church. Kids are downstairs doing kid things and everything, so I thought I'd try to take this time to explain what's called circumstantial evidence and how we can use it for revealing how reasonable the Christian faith is, the theistic worldview is, whenever an atheist is trying to say we have blind faith in this and that. Now, I have to say this up front that what I'm going to present, I pretty much am copying J. Warner Wallace, who was a former homicide detective. And when he went on a cold case, these are methods he would use to determine how the case would end up going, whether they could prosecute, find a murderer, or if it was an accident, whatever the case is. But I think neither one of us, an atheist or a theist, has direct evidence. We weren't there at the beginning. We don't know scientifically the origins. We don't know and can't prove without a shadow of a doubt whether it was evolution, naturalism, materialism, theism, whatever the case is. But through this method, you can show how Christianity, theism, is very reasonable and more reasonable than an atheistic, naturalistic, or materialistic worldview is. So for instance, imagine that you come into a room and you see a dead body lying on the floor. Okay, you know the person's dead, you check their pulse, airway, no breathing, things like that, the person is dead. There's only 4 plausible explanations on how the individual died. He could have died of natural means, it could have been an accident, a suicide, or a murder. Okay, so if you just walk in, you see a guy dead, it could be any 4 of those, right? Alright, so say you walk in and let's add a little bit to it. Say there's a pool of blood underneath the body, right? And so now you got a dead body with a pool of blood. Remember, you have 4 plausible explanations. The person could have died naturally, accident, suicide, or murder. With a pool of blood and a good-sized pool of blood, you can sort of rule out natural, because when people die of natural causes, they typically don't have a whole lot of blood there. Alright, so let's take it a step farther. Let's add something. Let's say that there's a knife in the guy's stomach. You got a dead guy, pool of blood, and a knife in his stomach. We've already scratched off natural. So could it have been an accident, a suicide, or murder? Well, it could have been either one of those. It could have been accidental, it could have fell on the knife, it could have been a suicide, or it could have been murder. Let's say that we find a dead guy, pool of blood, knife in the belly, and multiple stab wounds. So we've already ruled out natural. Do you think it could have been an accident with multiple stab wounds? That's highly improbable for an individual to keep falling on a knife over and over. So you can rule out accident. So now all you have left is suicide or murder. It could be either one of those two. So now let's add something else. You have a dead body, a pool of blood, a knife in the belly, you got multiple stab wounds, but now you see bloody footprints walking away from the body, imprinted on the ground away from the body. That doesn't scream suicide. That screams murder. And so you see how we weren't there. We didn't see what happened to that individual. We saw a dead guy with a pool of blood, a knife in the belly, multiple stab wounds, and bloody footprints. And out of the 4 plausible explanations, wouldn't have been natural, wouldn't have been suicide because the bloody footprints were walking away, wouldn't have been accidental because of multiple stab wounds, and therefore you have reason to believe it's a homicide or a murder. And that's what J. Warner Wallace points out in circumstantial evidence and what's called abductive reasoning. You're looking at the entire amount of evidence, exhibit A, B, C, D, whatever. You find what is the most reasonable explanation, for this. And that's talking about homicide cases. Well, when we're talking about creation, evolution, billions of years, thousands of years, whatever the case is, we all have the same evidence. We all have the same things in front of us. We have an earth, we have a universe, we have scientific laws, we have dinosaur bones, we have all these things. And it's up to us to go ahead and take the evidence and find out what is most plausible, what is the most, I have a string hanging on my arm, what is the most reasonable explanation for all these things to exist, come into being. And so I believe if you look at all the evidence, when you look at the laws of logic, the scientific laws, You look at the Mandelbrot set, numbers, mathematics, you think of consciousness, think of the immaterial, think of the mind. What came first, mind or matter? Did matter create mind, consciousness, or did mind create matter? And a Christian would say that mind created matter because God is that mind behind the creation. You look at all these evidences, and all of it screams that Christianity and a theistic worldview is very reasonable and more reasonable than naturalism or materialism, in the idea that all this came to be through natural results. Matter was either eternal or matter created itself, life formed from non-life, and all these other things. That's not as reasonable as an intelligent being. So why don't more people subscribe to this? Why are there so many atheists and skeptics, cynics out there? Well, Romans chapter 1 tells us, Paul writes, and God says that men suppress the truth in unrighteousness. They profess themselves wise, they become fools. So it's not the lack of evidence. Heavens declare the glory of God, the firmament showeth his handiwork. And so we have the conscious and we have creation. And through abductive reasoning, it clearly reveals and shows that Christianity has much more rationality behind it than any other belief set that there would be out there. Not naturalism, materialism, scientism, any of the other isms there could be. And so, remember, abductive reasoning. What is the most plausible explanation for whatever the situation is? Homicide case, dead body, knife in the back, blood on the ground, multiple stab wounds, bloody footprints. You can pretty much figure out it was a murder. Creation bears witness to a creator. We can see that there is plenty of evidence to believe in the reasonableness of the Christian faith. So if you have any questions about that, drop me a line in the comments below. If you disagree, by all means, feel free to share your thoughts below. I may have the time to reply, may not, but wonderful thing about America is freedom of speech. So go ahead and let me know there. So I thank you for checking in this week. Until next time, God bless.